And I'm going to play a clip right now to kick off this discussion. It's not obvious why I would be playing this clip, because if you don't know the story, it's kind of coming out of left field and you wouldn't really get the connection. But it's important because this is a clip of a speech that you gave for the band The Rascals into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 1997. And it is the way that a television auteur by the name of David Chase discovered you and first started to think of you as a guy who might be an actor, and not just a guy who might be an actor, but a guy who might play not just a part, but play the lead part in a series that he was thinking about doing about a New Jersey mobster called Tony Soprano. So let's listen to this speech, and then we can try to figure out what it was that David Chase saw in this speech that made him think, oh yeah, that guy should be the star of my next series, a series called The Sopranos. Here it is. Let's listen to it. We'll get into it on the other side.
Some people may not realize it, but the Rascals were the first rock band in the world. In the 50s, we had vocal groups and solo people, And then in the 60s on the West Coast, we had the Beach Boys, but they really were a vocal group and they became a band later, We also had the Byrds, but McGuinn really did that first record by himself, and then they became a band later. And okay, over there in England, some guys were making some noise. But in the real world, in the center of the universe, New Jersey, the Rascals were the first band.
So that's the 1997 Rock and Roll Hall of Fame induction ceremony. You're inducting the Rascals, and that is a speech that David Chase, who's thinking about making a show about a New Jersey mob boss called Tony Soprano, that hearing you, apparently, seeing you deliver that speech, begins the journey that ends up with you on The Sopranos. Tell that story.
Yeah, I mean, that's how my life happens, I mean, if he had gone one channel further with the remote,
yeah,
no acting career whatsoever. Right. It was that bizarre. And, he was ready to move on. He had been in TV his whole life and wanted to make movies, which he's now doing. And was ready to break all the rules and wanted new faces in this final TV show. He called and said, you want to be in my new TV show? And I was like, wow, what a nice compliment, but no, thanks. I'm not an actor,
Yes.
And he said, yes, you are. Yes, you are. Come on down. So at that point, I kind of was done with the music business and looking for something to do.
Did he tell you what he saw in you?
Yeah.
From that, what was it that he saw in you that made him think? Because he didn't just want you to be in the show. He wanted you to be Tony Soprano.
Yeah,
He wanted you to be the lead in the show. I mean, this is how fucking weird this is, man. I'm sorry. I'm not going to let this go without commenting. It's like the chapter should be called Blind Shithouse Luck, because as you said, one channel over, he stumbles on this thing and sees you and doesn't just think, hey, here's a guy who's never acted before. I'm going to put him in my show. But here's a guy who's never acted before. I'm going to make him the lead in my show. He's going to be Tony Soprano. What was it he saw? I mean, I like the induction speech and everything, Steve. I thought it was really, it's nice. But I mean, it's not obvious to me from the speech that you're the next Marlon Brando.
No, that's why David Chase is a genius. What can I say? And he's David Chase and we're not.
And I'm not. Yes, that's exactly right. Fair enough. Good point.
It was partly his contrarian sensibility. I mean, and believe me, he is a contrarian. He likes to do things the hard way and make things difficult for the powers that be. Partially, he had been a big fan. He had my solo records and, of course, the E Street Band. And he saw the E Street Band as the Rat Pack of rock and roll. He saw me acting that role, more or less, in the band. He knew we were not nameless, faceless sidemen. He saw me as that second banana to Bruce, or second or third banana in those days, counting Clarence. So he kind of put it together in his head. And plus, he wanted Jersey credibility.
Yeah.
Everybody had turned down the show because he insisted on filming in Jersey. And people were like, we don't do that in Hollywood,
Yeah, right.
What are you, nuts?